Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this amazing initiative by WOW, and I'm glad to speak about physical and mental health from KD versus KG. I'm Kripa Dharmaraj, also known as KD. And I've been in the healthy food industry for the past 7 years, and we used to prepare and deliver nutritionally balanced food and deliver across the city in Chennai. And we've delivered over 5 lakh plus orders that way. And during this tenure, I worked with a lot of dietitians and nutritionists, and I got to learn the basics of how simple Indian food can actually suffice for a nice balanced meal. And it really kicked in a lot of fascination in myself, and I went ahead and uh, implemented it in my own journey. So that's how this whole thing began. And I personally went ahead and reduced around 18 kgs by implementing very, very simple strategies in terms of nutrition, habits, and things like that. So beyond that, a lot of them got curious around me, and that's how I implemented KD versus KG. KD is my name, and KG is the kilogram that I battled against. It's a community-based program so that people don't get bored about the whole thing. And we started off with just about 10 very close friends to implement very simple stuff and go ahead and become healthy and reduce all the excessive weight. In a matter of few months, we're almost 150 plus members now, just based on each and everybody's results and the success stories and all the achievements that they've all done. So this is the simple introduction about myself. I'm going to talk more about KD versus KG, as well as regular aspects of what needs to be seen on a daily basis for physical as well as mental health. I thank WOW for this opportunity. I think it's a great initiative that they've taken. And I would also like to give a quick introduction about WOW as such. So they are a mind and behavioral clinic, and they have a team of doctors and mental health experts. They have over 13 plus years of experience in this, and they kind of serve for individuals as well as corporate, educational institutions, and the kind of services that they provide are for mental health care, leadership training, individual coaching, workforce counseling, etc. And you can get in touch with them at 99 402 21212. That is WOW's number. And if it's going to be my number, it's going to be 97109 42662. This is for weight loss. Okay, so that's a little bit of introduction. And in today's topic, it's a very interesting, very simple yet not understood by many people sort of a topic, that is an all-natural approach, towards a better physical and mental health. Right now, the fitness industry is in such a huge, boom right now, because people are at home, they're all locked up in the situation, and they're worried about their health and wellness. So they're all going gaga about, taking care of themselves. But I also do see that the industry is taking a huge opportunity about this, and so many crazy stuffs are happening. The kind of things that's being sold is just ridiculous. So WOW and I felt from KD versus KG, we felt that maybe we could crack all these things and speak about how very simple natural methods can actually lead all of you, even if you're just right at home, towards a nice, natural, healthy lifestyle. So that is the reason behind this initiative, and I'm very, very glad that I'm going to go ahead and do this. So this live program is a little different from the other live programs that I have done before, or generally what happens on the internet. Usually they're like somebody asking, somebody answering, or it's just people just asking questions in the comments and stuff like that. Over here, we already got the questions up front a week ago, and people have mailed, and I'm just going to go ahead and read out those questions one by one, and I'm going to answer them. So that's how today's session is going to go. Hope you guys are half thrilled as I am right now. So let's go ahead and move on to the questions. So the first question is, since most people are working from home now, what are some healthy habits that can be adopted to take care of one's physical and mental health? Okay. I was just starting with the same topic when I gave the introduction, so I'm just going to go a little bit more detail into that. I mean, it is really difficult by the end of the day to just sit in the same place for a long time, because we're all so used to moving around, meeting people, going to different places, the change of environment, all these things kept us sane. And right now, this is kind of driving a lot of us insane, because we have to see the same faces every day. We have to do the same things every day. The routine itself is just stuck in between four walls, and it does get a little difficult for a lot of them. So I wouldn't recommend something magical as such out here, but very simple stuff that can still be followed in terms of keeping all of us same. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. When it comes to healthy habits, one of the major things that I have heard from a lot of my community members, or the ones who wants to join me, the first thing that they say is they don't sleep on time. They tell that we started off with initial few weeks were like honeymoon period for a lot of us, where we started watching movies in the nights, and we started sleeping late. We started playing with the children at home. So the schedules were like, completely messed up. So the moment you start sleeping late, that is the starting of a huge chain that's going to be leading you to, down the trend unhealthy habit. For example, if you go to sleep late in the night, you are possibly going to be getting hungry in the first place in the late night, and you're going to have one more extra meal. And at that point of time, you might not be really ready with a healthy meal in the first place. You might be probably going for some junk at home and things like that. So that's one unhealthy meal already. And once you go to sleep really, really late, you can't all that easily wake up early the next morning. So which again becomes a problem. And It's very important to sleep on time, especially between 9:30 to 8 hours from there, because important hormones get secreted only at that point of time. So we can't just calculate any 8 hours and sleep by around 12ish or 1ish and wake up 8 hours from that. So hormones like melatonin do not secrete in the mornings. They secrete only by that particular time. So in order to make them work efficiently, we need to be sleeping on time. Why do we need these hormones? Because the next morning you want your engine to be running. You want yourself to be thinking efficiently. So that's one of the main reasons you got to be sleeping. And let's say the next morning you wake up late, you already skip your breakfast, and that's again another meal affected. You already had one unhealthy meal the previous night, and the next morning again it's affected. And then you go on for a brunch, and you're like super hungry by then, and you go ahead and hog. So you lose the balance of how much you usually eat, and you just go crazy about what you eat. So it's just straight 3 meals affected just in the food part alone. And coming to mental health, I mean, frankly, it's just gonna completely drive you insane, because continuously losing your sleep alone can cause so much of a trouble in your mind. You can't think straight, and it's going to affect your efficiency, your cognitive functions, a lot of things. So you probably want to first give your highest importance to sleep. I know that this might not be the first thing you'd have expected, but this is really, really the major thing according to me. And of course, a lot of you are, doing exercises right from home, a lot of home-based workouts, which is like very, very good. Try your level best to have different kinds of workouts, starting from cardio to yoga to strengthening, so that you have a good spread of all the kinds of exercises and not just one type. That's another thing that you can do. When it comes to mental health, I think it's very important that, since we're all in the same house, first few weeks were all like fun. I've heard this from a lot of people speak to me from my community as well. First weeks were like fun. We were like, yeah, we got to spend time together and stuff like that. But then eventually things do get a little boring, and you start getting into fights. There are so many people who've got into depression at this time, and there's been so many abuses happen there in time. So I think it's really important to keep everybody around us sane along with ourselves. So I would say try to avoid petty fights, because you got to face the same person. You can't even like walk away from the house. That's how the situation was like for the past few months at least. So let's try to work on engaging ourselves productively. And if you really need help, please call for help at whatever situation is it, especially if it's going to be for mental health. So those are a few pointers that I wanted to give you in terms of keeping yourself physically and mentally healthy working from home. Next question is, what are the common mistakes made by people on a weight loss program that prevents them from losing weight? Okay, one of the very, very common things that I notice from people who want to do weight loss is you always seek for shortcuts. You want to reduce your weight quickly. When people call me, they ask me, how many kgs can I reduce in my first month or in my first week? These are like very, very common questions a lot of us have. And you fall for those people who promise those kind of things to you as well. When they say that, I did this, I did that, so I reduced so many kgs in 1 week, 10 days, 1 month. I think the last thing that we should seek for is to reduce too much of weight in a very short period. In whatever method it may be. It could be a detox, or it could be some pills, it could be some shakes, it could be any sort of crazy method, but I really do not recommend to go for that kind of a weight loss. So that is one major mistake that people do. Why am I saying this? Why shouldn't you seek for a faster weight loss? Is you have basically abused your body, at least for the past few months or for the past few years. I think it is right about to give the body its own time to come back to what it's supposed to be, because when you did the damage for so long, you can't expect the body to just react back to you like so quickly. So let's be fair here. The body is also like to be treated like a child. So that's how I think that we should give the chance to your body to get back in shape. So let's not just force it to act crazy, right? So that's the reason I don't want you to be expecting like crash diet and fast reduction and things like that. Second common mistake that people do is they just start exercising like crazy as soon as they think of weight loss. They run like crazy with all their Fitbits and whatnot, and they start doing crazy HIITs. It's ridiculous when people are like already super overweight and they just start doing like very high intensity exercises, especially when they don't give importance to nutrition. the main fact here is that what are the problems that that's being caused because of this is you tend to tear your muscles and you actually get yourself more injured than what you think that you would be doing when you're going to be blindly, starting to exercise as soon as you think about weight loss. I'm not saying that exercise is bad. I'm just saying that that is not the starting point. Your starting point should always be about getting your mind ready to reduce. Then the second thing is about your nutrition. Unless you fuel your body with the right nutrition and then go for the exercises along with it in a medium moderation level intensity sort of exercises and then slowly increase them towards high intensity, until and unless you follow this kind of a methodology, it's going to be backfiring to you. By the end of the day, you might just quickly reduce and then bounce back, or you might tear your muscles, or you might get a little depressed about what's happening to you. You get really demotivated. A lot of things could actually backfire to you when you're going to be doing it the other way around. And I don't want to talk about all the pills and powders and things like that that's being sold, and the detox methods and going starving and all those things. Those are like even more crazy. So these are all like, a common mistakes that I've heard from loads of people. They make it, they come back to me, and then they tell me that it didn't work, or it just worsened things for them. So any kind of diet or workouts that's going to be torturing you in terms of weight loss, I don't think it's required, because weight loss can actually be a very peaceful ride. It can be a simple, calm, an enjoyable ride where you don't even have to strain yourself too much. So that's how me and my community in KD vs. KG does it. So I really hope that I can enlighten you more on that in furthermore questions. So just make sure to keep your, steady efforts and steady weight loss, so that it's not like you're going to participate in Miss World next year. So let's try to allow the body to take its own time to reduce. So that's the second question. Moving on to the third one. What does a nutritionally balanced meal look like? And could you give us a few examples? Okay. So when it comes to nutritionally balanced food, a lot of them, assume that you just have to start eating less. So that's one of the biggest myth that needs to be broken, because eating less is never the right way of doing it. Eating right is the right way of doing it. And again, one more mistake that people do is when they say healthy, when they say nutritionally balanced, people always jump into salads and chia seeds and avocados and millets and things like that. It need not necessarily be only in a fancy way in order to, make yourself a balanced meal. It can completely be based on your own native food. You could be from any kind of an ethnic background. I'm sure in your own family, there will be a spread of, a healthy meal as such, which you might have probably lasted over generations or whatever it is, and you would have just given more importance to the junk side of it. There's a huge myth that Indian food, especially South Indian food, is like super unhealthy because we have our vadas and pongal and all deep fried stuff, bhajis and bondas and all that stuff, which is completely not fair, because Indian food is one of the most healthiest spread one can actually seek for. We have a fantastic culture. Our ancestors were brilliant in framing the menus. I don't think we even need to seek any other kind of food when we have something brilliantly on our lap. All we have to do is just make use of them the right way. Simple examples could be our idlis, our dosas, or pongal, rice, and if you're a North Indian, your rotis or your sabzis, your doklas. I mean, there are always, form of healthiness in most of the kinds of food. And in my community, I have people from across the world because of my online model, and everybody is from like really nice different ethnic backgrounds, and they all eat their own food. There is no hard and fast rules to be saying that go for a bowl of salad or go for a just a blind form of shake or a smoothie, or it's really not required. You can go ahead and totally enjoy like your kind of native food. So that's the main thing that I would always recommend. And when it comes to a sample, for example, you can take a bowl of rice, along with it a bunch of vegetables or fruits, whichever is available, preferably vegetables. And you can take an egg if you're an vegetarian, or you can take any form of chicken or fish or preferably lean meat if you want the protein. If you are a pure vegetarian, you can go for dal, lentils, pulses, tofu, soya, any kind of protein that you can accommodate in your regular food. You don't have to go fancy like I already mentioned. And curd. Curd plays a huge role. It's a fantastic probiotic form. Even if you're not having milk, it's a really good form of having. If not curd, buttermilk, even better. And considering the heat in India, we can always try to go on with at least 1 or 2 glasses of buttermilk a day. So simple things of this kind could actually form a fantastic balanced meal. Only catch here is about what is the portion sizing that each of us need to follow. That will definitely depend upon your individual inputs in sort of your age, height, weight, etc. This, which is what we kind of specialize in. So that's where I come in. That's where I help out people and things like that. So that's about the third question. The fourth one is how does a healthy weight affect an individual's perspective and frame of mind? What are your thoughts from your personal journey? Okay. Okay, let's get a little technical here. Um, when it comes to healthy weight, it's not just the weight. I would probably tweak it a little bit into nutrition, right? Because the right nutrition always puts you in the right frame of mind. For example, how much the vitamins and minerals can influence your energy levels, right? The feeling of having more energy can actually come from nutrients that are like pretty much fresh. It could be from your whole foods, and it could be like, that's what is needed for our bodies and brains to be working properly. A few examples could be like, the vitamins B1 and B2. We need thiamine B1 to convert the carbohydrates into the energy that we need. And so the riboflavin, the B2, it kind of helps release the energy in the Krebs cycle. So, and that is the process by which our bodies actually generate energy. So these are like a few examples, and like I already mentioned, the other kind of hormones like serotonin and dopamine and things like that. All these things also play an important role in cognitive function, and these things tend to come from vitamin B6. So there are like loads of examples of this kind, and none of these are like alien food. All these things are available in our regular food. Your vegetables and fruits can play a huge role in what you're eating, and so are the carbs. A lot of us make this mistake of quitting on carbs as soon as we think of weight loss, which is like a really, really bad mistake. Your body does always need a balanced meal. You need to have your carbs as your regular food as well, provided you're following the balanced food methodology. Just make sure not to go blindly zero on it. And also one more information is that carbs is not available only in the form of rice and stuff like that. It's good to maintain a whole grain carb level, but it's also good to go for like other kind of carbs like corn and sweet potato and things like that as well. But you do need the whole grain side of carbs as well. So it's important to sort of keep your cognitive functioning happening by taking all kinds of the balanced food. People really don't estimate at the right levels as to how much your mental frame of mind can actually be affected by your food. I have loads of people in my community who have told that they're able to think straight, they've got better efficiency in their work, in their studies and things like that. They've literally got appreciation from their bosses saying that you're doing much better for the past few months only based on good nutrition. So these are all like practical things that I'm saying right in front of my eyes. I'm not talking about magic here. I'm talking about science. So that's the other thing. And the next question is about what is your, okay, I think the previous question had one more thing. Okay, what are your thoughts from your personal journey? Okay, so this is a very important thing that I would love to share. I was, I come from a simple, middle class family where we come from a working family. And that's how I've seen the entire thing happening when it comes to work. And when I got into married into a business family, things were like completely different, and it was like really, really new for me. And when I got myself into entrepreneurship voluntarily, it was just a lot for me to begin with. And the startup that I was running had like loads of employees, and a lot of operationally intensive thing going on when it comes to the food industry and things like that. So I kind of got pretty much stressed out with the whole thing, and I completely lost me. A lot of women, get into the fact of, you are yourself until you're in your school and college times, and once you get married, you just completely lose yourself. You kind of forget about yourself, at least for the first 10 years of your marriage. And this is not just me talking. I've heard this like from at least hundreds of women still now from my community. It's a very common thing that we completely lose ourselves, and once the second child is born and it's grown, and then you think of, okay, I can take care of myself all this while. This is a very, very common thing that many of us face, and I wouldn't leave on the men as well, because men also get into their own kind of pressures, in terms of family, shifting from this to your parents' family to your own family and things like that. So everybody is equally pressurized, and what typically happens is between 25 to 35 years of people, I totally find them getting into absolutely unhealthy habits in terms of their eating, their sleeping, their choice of foods, not taking care of themselves. They just go with whatever is available with them. So this kind of puts them into a really, really bad, stressful life. And the same thing happened to me as well. And the worst part is your metabolism keeps changing, every few years. And your body might have been absolutely fine when you were having all the junk happily when you were in your school or college, but it might not react the same way in your 30s, even worse in 40s, even worse in 50s. You're still not going to remain the same way, even if you keep eating whatever you would like to eat. So you need to be ready to get your body, into a healthy state. So that is what we need to be aiming at. And I kind of completely ignored myself as well in those 10 years because of work and a lot of other things. And I kind of learned about all these nutritionally balancing stuff and all those things with my dietitian like long ago, because I was running for 7 years. But I could have implemented, but it took me years to just implement. Sometimes we know what to do, but we don't do it, right? It just keeps running in our mind. I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it, but we don't do it. So just to make sure that we do it, you just have to put your foot down and decide that, yes, I am important for myself. Only if I take care of myself, I can take care of the rest of the people around me, be it work or be it whatever it is. Ultimately, I kind of had worse efficiency in my work and worse things happening around me in terms of my decision making. Everything was going down south when I was not giving in the right kind of importance to myself in terms of my nutrition, as well as my exercises, as well as my mental health. So I figured at one point of time that unless I take care of myself, nothing is going to go positive. Anyways, it's not going positive. So last year, I decided to put my foot down, and I decided that, what, let me just turn around everything and let me prioritize myself. That the word priority plays a huge role here, and that's how I started my journey. It was not about weight loss, frankly speaking. It was purely about prioritizing myself. Once I started prioritizing myself, I started cooking the food that I always loved to eat since my childhood, whatever I missed for a very long time. I started rediscovering a lot of things that I used to do in my younger days. I brought my name back, so as to how I was called back in my school days. I was called KD back then, so that's the reason I've made my brand itself in that name. So I was kind of rediscovering myself to be the happiest version of me, to be the best version of me, and make sure that my mentally I get myself prepared to transform in terms of my mental health as well as my physical health. And trust me, I just had to implement all those little things that I had learned, during my previous startup period, as well as realizing whatever I have been missing for the past few years, I had turned into somebody else. So I realized that I need to start becoming myself by the end of the day. Be it women or men, I really don't care. Losing ourselves in that particular period is really sad. We really have to make sure that we keep our minds intact, and that is the age we really got to enjoy our lives, and we shouldn't be losing ourselves at that point of time just because of pressures like family and work and things like that. So once I went ahead and implemented the simple word called priority in my life, weight loss was simply a byproduct. A healthy lifestyle was what I was aiming at, and weight loss followed me like a hug puppy. So that's what happened to me. That is how my journey happened, and it was a very, very smooth transition for me. I didn't go like 4 to 5 kgs down per month and things like that. Very very smooth transition. I didn't torture myself in terms of diets that I cannot eat. I am not a huge salad fan. I love Indian way of eating. I love the poriyals and puttu and sabzis and things like that. I was not ready to give up on my rice. I was not ready to give up on my idlis. I was not ready to give up on my dosas. And we are like a huge dosa fan in my house. So without giving up on all these things, I wanted to still transform, and it was completely possible. And today it's not just me. There are close to 150 plus people who are doing the same thing, where they have simply started to prioritize themselves, and they are just following their own kind of food, and they're all reducing right now. And there are loads and loads of success stories on my page. You can go and check them out, and that is what is going to help you out. One more thing I notice from people is that they always look at a weight loss journey as a separate thing by itself. They say that I don't have the time for it now. I'm busy with my work. I have something happening in my family. I want to grow my child a little bit more. There are like these really, the reasons that they think are important. So this is something that happens very, very common across the world, and it's called pause mentality. You might as well always feel that you can just pause your life for a while and you can finish this and then go back to that. It doesn't happen that way. In life, everything has to happen at the same time. You need to eat every day. By the end of the day, you need to sleep. You need to run your life. How can you describe these two things as two different things? The way you are reducing your weight and the way you are getting into your healthy lifestyle should be a part of your lifestyle. In a busy schedule, you should be able to do. While you're bringing your child up, you should be able to do. During your important part of your life, you should be able to do. When you're growing your brand, you should be able to do. Only then you're doing it the right way. Otherwise, your lifestyle is always going to take you for a ride, and you're never going to be, looking back into the healthy lifestyle. And if you don't take the step at the right point of time, when you're like in your 40s and 50s, you're just going to be like regretting for whatever you were doing for the past 10, 15 years. So it's very critical to take this decision when you are in your 30s, especially because you tend to get affected by chronic diseases like attacks and diabetes and BP and things like that. In this time, it's become so much more difficult for the youngsters. Earlier, people used to get all these things only when they were in their 50s and 60s. Right now, people are getting when they're in their 30s, and this is truly non-prioritization, nothing else. So that is the request I have for you guys. So that's how my journey was, and I really hope your journey turns out to be as fantastic as that of mine as well. So what is your weight loss challenge program all about? Okay, so KD versus KG has always been a very informal kind of program. We don't believe in a typical monthly consultation sort of stuff. We believe in more fun way of doing it. There are four main aspects that I concentrate on. The first thing is nutrition, always, that comes first. And the second thing is habits. The third thing is exercises. And the fourth thing is stress relief. So nutrition, I think I pretty much explained all this while. So I kind of go ahead and implement that as the first level. So what I do is I split all these four factors, nutrition, habits, exercises, and stress relief, into four different levels, each level contributing 3 months. So it's a 1 year sort of a program. You can either take it as an entire year's program, or you can take it as each level, 3 months program. So that is how I do it. And what do I mean by habits? A lot of us give very less importance towards our habits. When I mean habits, your sleeping habits, your eating habits, your thinking habits, all these little things. It can play as much as a role to your weight loss as much as your exercises, which is what you always start doing initially. So these things actually play an equal role. Similarly, the stress relief part, that's the fourth module. The mental health plays an equally important role to that of your running or your cardio or whatever it is towards your weight loss. I have seen people who are perfect in their diet and exercise, they still won't reduce their weight. It's because they're stressed out. So in fact, I have also gone through that in my own journey. I was pretty stressed out. I really had to ease out myself in order to get myself into the right spectrum. So these are the four things that I concentrate. And level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and each level is one of these factors: nutrition, habits, exercises, and stress relief. What is the fun part about this is that I do these things in the form of challenges. So yeah, so challenge-based program is what really makes it interesting. I give weekly challenges. For example, every week I give you simple challenges like nutrition challenge, for example. I don't know, maybe about whatever the balanced meal that I spoke about. I bring in all those factors one by one, and so that's one thing that I can bring in each of the weeks and make you get accustomed slowly into your healthy lifestyle. So that's how the nutrition is brought in. Similarly, habit, like for example, making you eat on time or making you sleep on time, whatever it is. So those things that are get slowly brought in. When it comes to stress, I speak about stress eating. Why do you do stress eating? What do you do? And things like that. So every week I keep giving you challenges. You have to add it along with the previous challenges and slowly get yourselves into the healthy lifestyle. In a matter of few weeks, you'll be able to understand how it goes, healthy with your own kind of food, and what kind of portion sizing suits you for your kind of inputs. And in the first 3 months, you will become a responsible eater yourself in such a brilliant way that it's like learning to cycle or learning to swim, where you can't forget it obviously after that. Beyond that, it's going to be only about consistency and maintaining it and stuff like that. Consistency is one of the most biggest problems. So I have two main solutions for that. First is the community. We make sure that we're all one community or different types of branches of the batches of community and stuff like that, where when you have your people around you and when you tell them you want to go on a diet, they start mocking you, they start discouraging you. Some of them encourage, but some of them do discourage. So you want people of your own mindset, who is in your own starting line, who understands what you're going through. So this community gives that kind of a support. People understand what you're going through. So you can feel free to, share what you're doing in terms of your progress, your goals, your challenges. Somebody just suddenly comes and screams out saying, I'm having a sugar crave. There are like a bunch of them giving them ideas as to what they do for the sugar crave and things like that. It's really fun when they do stuff like that. And if one person reduces weight, the entire community celebrates for the entire day. So that's how we go ahead and, celebrate each other in the community. And the second solution to keep yourself consistent is during these challenges, whenever I announce them, I also give little information about what is the science behind, the challenges that we are doing. What is the science behind each of the healthy habit that we are adopting to? It's important for you to be aware of what is happening inside your body, so that you follow it. Because once you have the knowledge as to why you are doing it, then you wouldn't tend to go back to your bad lifestyle. Because usually what people do in this industry is they only dictate you so as to what you should do, how much you should eat, do so many reps of exercise, don't eat this, eat so much of only this. But nobody tells you what happens underneath. So it may not be technical terms, but by the end of the day, you need to know that this particular things happen in this time for me. So I need to make sure that I sleep in this time. It's very, very simple stuff that any layman can understand. So that is how I kind of explain things to my community. So that is the other reason why a person tends to become consistent with what they're trying to do. So this is how I kind of run my program. I also have workout trainers, certified trainers I'm associated with. As of now, we have three kinds. So the first one is mobility and strengthening, and the second one is Zumba for the cardio sake, and the third one is yoga. Idea of having all these people associated is to make sure that you are not just doing one kind of workout, because like I already mentioned, it's important to make sure that you give all the kinds of workouts to your body, so that you do the stretching on one side, and also you do give the strengthening on the other side, and you do give the cardio exercise where you do the actual oxygen pumping. So all these things are required. So in order to bring in this overall perspective of an all-rounded working out program, I have made sure to tie up with the right kind of trainers, and the program also has that within. It's your choice to choose whether you want it with the workouts or without the workouts. So in order to know more about, and so entire thing just happens online. Everything is given as recorded, so you can do it as at your own pace, and you can follow it without any pressure by the end of the day. Because whenever you go for any diet, people just dump a diet chart on your face, and they also dump a bunch of exercise videos on your face and tell them that, tell you that go ahead and do this. I don't think that's the right way of doing. I think you should be allowed to take the time to get into the groove and do it. And this is not going to delay your weight loss process. You can trust me on that. But because that's how my community has always been successful with the entire thing. So because of the simple online models that I follow, like I said, people from across time zones are able to follow, and they're thrilled and amazed by the way how I can sit here so many miles apart from where they are and still make such huge differences in their lives. So yeah, so again, I have people from different with different kinds of medical conditions, be it PCOS or hypothyroidism or postnatal weight to be reduced, mothers who are struggling to reduce their weight, be it from 6 months of baby or even if the baby is grown to 10 years, they still have that post-pregnancy weight just sitting there on the body right now, right there. So those are the kind of people who also come, and also even the men who are running like really, really sedentary life, as well as women who are running really, really sedentary life. They don't have the time to even breathe. So they're like, I don't have the time for all these things. But yes, there are loads of people who can accommodate, like I already said, idea is to make you get into a healthy lifestyle with your busy schedule. That is when it's a workable model. And that is why I feel that we are successful. And I truly think that a lot of you could benefit out of this. In fact, I'm starting a new batch on Monday. It would be fantastic if you want to be going ahead and joining with me. I have my booking closes tonight. My number is 97109426662 or 97909252298. I repeat the numbers: 97109426662, 97909252298. You can go ahead and WhatsApp me, and I can look into how best I can help you out with my programs. So I guess those are the bunch of questions that we had from people, and so yes. So if there is anything else that I can think of, let me see if I missed out any of the questions. Mm, yeah. So I think in the first question, like people were asking about how you can keep your mental health, basically how you can keep yourself sane when you're just sitting at home. So these are the few things that we kind of do in our community as well. When you try to engage yourself productively, you don't have to be necessarily doing something that's like doing rocket science or something like that. It could also be doing something funny. How many days do you realize that you might not actually laugh on a daily basis? I'm not asking you to create some fake laughter here, but I'm just saying that try to consciously make sure that you are seeing some funny clips, or you are speaking with your family members who are funny, or you are trying to crack a joke about something that happens at home. Make things lighter and try to consciously bring in the effort of a sense of humor, either from people who can give it, or if you can give it, or watch something that totally cracks you up. Because laughing on a daily basis really, really helps a lot to just relieve yourself out of your current lifestyle that you're following, especially if you're just stuck in one place. It's very important to kind of allocate even time for it. I don't care, but just try to do something about it. Dig on all those videos that really makes you laugh. In our community, we have this habit of sharing the videos that we all just laugh like crazy, and we have like so just so like anybody else can like the same video, and we start laughing about it and stuff like that. So we kind of really have a day allocated to that in one of the challenges that we do for the laugh therapy. So that's one thing that we do. And so you could also do that among your family, and similarly playing something that is like absolutely not planned. It could be with your children, it could be just among yourself. It could be any kind of games that can actually make you think otherwise as well, apart from your work. Try to sort of do other things apart from what you usually do in your regular routine lives, so that you have your mind opened up to thinking other kind of things as well, and not just stuck to the same kind of things that you do every day. So when you do other kinds of activities, the way your brain thinks also kind of helps you to ease out the whole thing as such. So that's something that you can kind of work on. And meditation is a very, very important aspect that I feel that a lot of us would tend to do. I know it's a cliche thing that many say that meditation, I fall asleep, it's very boring and things like that. But there are a lot of meditation where people direct you and they tell you what to do about it. There are a lot of meditation stuff that you can actually do, a guided meditation types where they tell you what to do and what not to do and things like that. There are meditations where they tell you are allowed to have a wandered mind. I can give you a few apps. For example, you can use an app called Brain FM. I mean, I'm not associated with these apps or anything, but I just use these things. I'm just going to share it with you. So this is an app where you kind of have a lot of things actually, and one of them is guided meditation. And Headspace also give you guided meditation. It actually has meditation for good productivity, It has meditation for sleeping. It has meditation for gently, calming yourselves down and things like that. So it need not be just in a yogic fashion alone. It can be in a very, very normal thinking pattern as well. So the particular app called Brain FM is like one of my favorites. I do keep suggesting this to my community of members as well. It has music for focusing on your work. It has music for going to sleep. It has music for concentrating in studies. It has music for relaxing yourself. It's got Beethoven, all kinds of really, really nice stuff, and it gives you, automatic play time for 4 hours or 6 hours or shorter period or whatever it is. It really helps a lot where you can just keep your mind off, and sometimes the monotonous music makes you think, just focus with whatever you are doing. It has helped me like really good for a lot of my work as well as my sleep, as well as just to relax myself and things like that. So these are a few things that you could use. You don't have to necessarily sit and do a yogi kind of meditation. And I'm talking about meditation. So the two apps are Brain FM and Headspace. So you could try these things. What else have I left out? In case I've not covered, I think that pretty much covers everything of what people are asked. Okay, so give me a minute. So speaking of which, I'm also looking at bringing in a lot of sessions in terms of mental health for my community as well, because a lot of us tend to be seeking for uh, understanding what's happening in our lives. There is this common myth that people just blindly think that mental health means that you're not feeling well, you're just psycho or something like that. It may not necessarily be like that. It can be somewhere around, you're just possibly depressed for just a particular period, or you can just possibly think that this particular thing, this particular situation is putting me into some sort of stress. So even those things could be mental health that you should probably give importance to, and don't try to suppress everything within yourselves. So I kind of want to help my community members in this terms. So I'm looking forward to bring in a lot of people to speak about that as well. So I really hope that that can be taken care of. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to look forward for some questions if there are any in the chat. Just give me a minute. You can go ahead and post your questions if you have any. So we'll be live for at least about the next 5 to 10 minutes. So you can go ahead and post all the questions that you have. So until I get the questions, let me just quickly maybe answer a few questions that I usually get in other sessions as well. So a lot of them ask me what to do about belly fat. So people speak about people speak about that particular part to be reduced as such. So that is something that very commonly people misunderstand, and they just start doing exercises oriented with that alone and stuff like that. It's okay. I do understand that exercises help in toning your muscles. It does help you to strengthen it, tighten it. All those things happen, but it cannot be done only with that. You do have to start with your nutrition, like I said, in order to burn your fat and make sure that you give the right nutrition in order to allow your body to respond towards the weight loss that you need and things like that. So when I reduced 18 kgs, it was a very gradual reduction. I did not sit and do separate for my belly, separate for my hands, separate for my thighs. I didn't do stuff like that. It was just a gradual, simple reduction that I was able to do as such. So it's always good to go through the right kind of methodology when it comes to this. You do have a few abs exercise and stuff like that, but I would always say that bring in the nutrition first, bring in the habits first, and then you can go for all these things as such. So that's how all the exercises and all that stuff. So that's what I usually recommend in terms of these. Okay, getting a few questions here. Hi, nice and thank you, Vasant Kumar. I want to give up my coffee tea habit. Please share your thoughts and thumb rules. Okay, so coffee and tea are not the real villains here. The real villain here is your sugar. Caffeine is actually good for your weight loss, and it's really not a problem to take the caffeine part of it. It's just the sugar part of it. In my community, the moment I tell them about, if you can reduce your sugar down, the first problem that arises is mostly for coffee and tea. These are the few solutions that they have found out. Either they go ahead and cut down the quantity of what they take so that the sugar quantity also goes down, or they go ahead and take it completely without sugar. So this is what happens for actual coffee lovers. If you're like a hardcore proper filter coffee lover, these are the things that I have heard from my community members. The caffeine taste is even more stronger and it kicks you in very nicely when you take it without the sugar. It's an adaptive taste, I can tell you that. But once they get used to it, they totally love it. I know that it doesn't sound like at all, but I have heard this not just from one or two persons, like from loads of people from my community who have gone ahead and changed their coffee to that format. And that is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, like I already said, reduce the quantity. If you're taking like, I don't know, 2 to 3 glasses a day, try to bring it down to half cups of each times, or you reduce the number of times you take. That is another way of doing it. Another method that they get into are the black sides of coffees and teas. You can go into the black coffee or black tea format where you can still cut down the sugar. If you have the common question of asking whether you can have other kinds of sugars like jaggery and palm sugar, brown sugar, blah 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 blah. When it comes to weight loss, sugar is sugar. It doesn't matter what kind of sugar you are taking, even if it's honey actually. If it's generally better than white sugar, yes, all the other sugars are much better than white sugars. There are brilliant antioxidants in jaggery and stuff like that. It is totally fine, but maybe not on a regular basis in terms of coffee and tea. Coffee and tea is what I would suggest. So that's one. These are the ways that my community is usually seeing the coffee and tea habits to be taken care of. I hope any one of these help you as such. Green tea is also another option that they go for, but yeah, you can see whatever suits you and give it some time for you to adapt. Like, don't just decide on one day. Try to give it a few days to see, at least a week's time or so, to see what is that adaptive taste that you would like to see as such. Yeah. And I eat very less, but I gain weight constantly. How do I go about it? What is your suggestion for me? So eating very less is a big problem, like I already told you. You're not supposed to eat less. You're supposed to eat right. I'm against starving. I hate it when people go starving for the sake of weight loss. The first rule that I tell my community members is not to starve. I don't believe in drinking water when you're hungry. It doesn't. That's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to be eating well, eating the right kind of things. Have some fruits if you're hungry, or have some nuts if you're hungry. Why do you have to starve? I have never starved when I reduce my eating kgs. So don't eat less. Please eat right. Try to bring in the balanced meal format or whatever format you are following. Just try to make sure that you're not eating less. In fact, eating less can actually backfire for you. Eating less can actually create gas. It can create more complications with your GI tract. It can create more complications with your gut. So what happens is when you eat less, you don't have the balance of enough fiber in your body and things like that, and your gut gets crazy. The moment your gut gets crazy, your gut-brain axis starts acting upon. A lot of things goes wrong when you try to eat less and not right the eat kind of thing. So I would recommend you to eat right instead of eating less. You can come to me if you want more guidance. I can definitely help you out. My community is even more supporting to help you understand this stuff. While you say about community, could you brief how can we be a part of your community? Yes, Ananta Chitila. Yes, thank you for the question. So Like I said, the program itself, brings you into the community. So you can either join my program in terms of the yearly program or the 3 months program. I give that flexibility for you to decide, and you can slowly move from nutrition to habits to workouts to stress relief. So you can keep moving level by level for the yearly thing. There are some people who stick to me even after they reduce their weight because they love the vibe with the community and they love the fact that I keep watching over them. They just want somebody to watch them as such. So you can join the community. Like I said, my number is 9710942662. You can go ahead and WhatsApp me, and I can definitely make sure that you have a great community experience with my people. And once weight loss, any other plan to maintain it long term? Yes, it's actually a very important question, Bala Subramanian. Thanks for bringing it up. So, people think that weight loss is difficult. Weight loss is actually easy. Maintaining is the difficult part, and especially when you don't do it the right way, maintaining becomes a nightmare. When you go for crash diets, when you go for very high intensity exercises to reduce your weight, when you go for crazy running and when you reduce your weight, you tend to gain them back in a very bad manner. It happens for a lot of them. And unless you kind of stick on to the right kind of food, the right kind of habits, the right kind of eating as such, and more importantly, your body seeks even more attention only after you reduce your weight. So you got to be even more strict with the kinds of workout that you do. That's when your toning brings in. That's when high intensity exercises should start coming in. That is when your nutrition needs to be even more in place. But in my community, the way I tell them is this: I bring in workouts as the third level, the third phase in the whole program. That's because that is when you would have already started to reduce your weight, and you're probably getting into that phase of where you have to start maintaining it or reduce it further and things like that. So you need to tweak your exercises accordingly. You need to tweak your meal accordingly. The kind of carbohydrates you take will matter. Like I said, you need to take smart carbohydrates instead of just blind carbohydrates. You need to take high fiber. You need to work on your micronutrients. You should not give up on your iron and magnesium, which also plays a big role. All these things could come in forms of simple terms of your nutrition. So you need to be more careful about how you get more. Instead of going on reducing your quantity alone blindly, the best way to actually reduce the weight as well as maintain it is eat nicely and do the kind of regular activity that is needed, and then go ahead and maintain it. Instead of going on reducing your quantity, you'd rather eat the right kind of quantity that is needed for your energy and do this. So that is how I would look at it. Um, yeah, so that is. A few of the questions. And in terms of energy out, I wanted to actually tell you one more thing. In fact, this is something that I usually cover in most of my live programs, but I just know how I missed to tell. So a lot of us think that energy out is only through exercises, but energy out is through so many other things as well. So we need to make sure that on a regular basis we are active enough, and we are bending down more, getting up more, climbing upstairs, because we have a few other things that contributes towards our energy out as well. So it's important to keep yourself active. You can just think about how the previous generations were just naturally, lean. That's because they had lesser automobiles, they had lesser machinery in the kitchens. So they naturally tend to have more activity in their regular basis. So people were walking a lot instead of just taking a car even to the shop, just which is like hardly a few feet away. So those are like a few things. Try to walk as much as possible whenever you find an opportunity, and try to keep important things that you'll need probably in the shelves that are below you. Try to stretch and take from things from above. Don't just keep them all right in front of you, so that you bend a lot naturally on a daily basis. You don't have to necessarily work only on your squats and your yoga and things. You can do some natural stuff in your regular life as well, which can actually keep you active. So these are called non-exercise activity as such. It's called NEAT actually. It actually contributes equally to that of what your forced exercises give you as such. So that's a contribution that it gives for the energy out. And there is this other one which is called resting metabolic rate, which is not exactly in our control, but it also plays like a huge, huge role. So the final verdict about energy out is that we have resting metabolic rate as well as NEAT as well as your physical activity. So typically, the percentage of physical activity that is actually contributing towards your weight loss is hardly about 10 to 15 percentage for a sedentary person. It can go up to 30 percentage if you're like an athlete, or if you're like really into extreme high intensity exercise, like 4 to 5 hours of gymming and things like that. So, but other than that, it plays a very, very less role. It's extremely important. Exercise is extremely important to keep yourself stress free, good, have a good sleep. Against, it prevents you from chronic exercises. It also helps you during your chronic exercise if you have your BP and stress and things like that. But do not just blindly do that alone. Do concentrate on all the 4 factors that I mentioned. So those are like a few things. Do we have any more questions? I guess kind of answered all the questions. Check. Okay, so okay, all right. So I guess it's we'll go ahead and wind up this one. I think we're up with the time anyways. So in case you have any further questions, please feel free to contact me. I'm Kripa Devi, also known as KD, and you also have Wow, who has actually created this beautiful platform for us to conduct this session today. So stay tuned to watch more videos on different topics that they're going to be coming up on a regular basis. You can reach out to Wow on 9940221212, or their website is winorwin.in. So that is their website. So you can go ahead and do that. And mine is KD versus KG. You can just go for KD versus KG.com to see my website. You can check out my Facebook pages and Insta pages. And my number again, one last time, is 97109 You can go ahead and contact me, or 97909 That's my other business number. So you can go ahead and contact me in terms of your weight loss as well as your wellness. Please try not to Google and get all the information bombing on your face. Please try to seek somebody who's already being good at. The last thing that I'd like to inform you is that I'm also successfully doing my coaching certificate with a very renowned institution in the US in terms of health coach. So I'm also getting myself certified. So I have loads and loads of information to share with you guys if you join my program. It's going to be all fun, no drama. It's just fun. So see you all. Thank you for joining the session. Thank you. Wow again. Hope to see you, a lot of you, with both our concerns in terms of Wow for mental health as well as KD versus KG for physical health. Hope that you gained at least a little bit from today's session. So thank you for watching. Have a great evening, you all.